Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spaghetti Westerns podcast. I'm Tom Betts, your host, and this is the wrap-up show of season 8. This is episode 10, number 140. This is going to be a Duck You Sucker special episode. Everything Duck You Sucker or Fistful of Dynamite, whichever you want to call it. That's going to be the film of the week. Instead of having whatever happened to who are those guys, it'll all be who are those guys, and we're going to cover David Warbeck, Antonio Villar, Antoine St. John, and Vivian Chandler. Uh, the CD and LPs of the week will be Duck You Sucker. I've got a couple of posters. We've got a book of the week, autograph of the week, and then we'll wrap things up with the weekly news. So let's get started, and we'll talk about the film of the week. Okay, Duck You Sucker. This is a 71 Italian production. The Italian title, and there's three of them, are Gio La Testa, which most of us know, C'era una volta la rivoluzione, and Johnny E. Johnny. I've never seen Johnny E. Johnny on any type of poster or listing, but that's supposed to be an Italian title. The English and USA titles are Duck You Sucker, and then they changed it to A Fistful of Dynamite as a re-release because it wasn't going over as Duck You Sucker, so they re-released it like it was one of the Clint Eastwood movies, and they used Fistful of Dynamite. Anyway, the director is Sergio Leone. Story is by Sergio Donati and Sergio Leone. Screenplay is by Sergio Donati, Sergio Leone, and Luciano Vincenzoni. Cinematography is by the great Giuseppe Rossellini. It's in Technicolor and Techniscope. Music, of course, is by Ennio Morricone. And the running time is 160 minutes. The main cast consists of Juan Miranda, played by Rod Steiger, Sean or John H. Mallory, played by James Coburn. Sean Nolan is played by David Warbeck. Dr. Viega is played by Romulo Valli. And Colonel Gutierrez, sometimes called Colonel Reza, is played by, and he's billed under two names under different releases, Domingo Antoine or Jean Michel. Other names that you'll recognize in here are Adelita's, played by Maria Monti. General Santernas, played by Rick Battaglia. And then we also have in the cast, we have the Yankee coach driver is played by Michael Harvey. And Michael Harvey was in Once Upon a Time in the West, and he's the guy in the train that says, "How do we play this game, Mr. Morton?" And then also you'll see the captain of the firing squad is Aldo Sambrell. So the story goes, and it's a long one, so bear with me. Sean Mallory, played by James Coburn, is an IRA explosive specialist who joins the Mexican bandit Juan Miranda, played by Rod Steiger, in his quest to rob the Bank of Mesa Verde. What Juan thinks is a nice joint venture to get rich quickly turns out to become an operation for the revolutionary cause, and the two are being drawn into a fight against the Mexican army, treason, and violence. The fight bearing painful similarities to Mallory's IRA past. The two form an unlikely but true friendship that is tested by a fight that is anything but simple. The film opens with a huge stagecoach, which the shy peon Juan boards. The stagecoach is full of rich people and a priest. The scene immediately shows Leone's political standings on the Mexican Civil War. A group of elitist people around a posh table laughing and making fun of the peasants. It's true, it's uneasy to watch the opening scene and their hypocritical attitudes shown in it. Examples of a preacher being mean and treating one as a lesser person. Then we have a more subtle hypocrisy with the talking while eating, showing their disregard for manners which they believe to have. Juan turns the tables on them and as he and his family stop and rob the coach, stripping the passengers of their belongings as Juan rapes the woman played by Maria Monti. He then sends them naked in a wagon into a pigsty. The story continues with the meeting of the two main characters and Juan's quest to rob the Bank of Mesa Verde. He wants to use Sean's expertise as an explosives expert to get inside the bank. It just so happens that when he's robbing it, there's no gold and it's now used as a Federales prison for political prisoners. He's been set up by Sean to break them out, inadvertently becoming a hero of the revolution. With Juan, with Juan the figurehead and Sean the ammunitions expert and Irish revolutionary, the pair join a group of revolutionaries led by Dr. Viega, played by Romulo Valli, and General Santerna, played by Rick Battaglia, who leads a band of civilian soldiers against the forces of the Mexican government and their main protagonist, Colonel Gutierrez/Riza, played by Domingo Antoine or Jean Michel, as the Mexican colonel pursues the band and ambush is set up at a river crossing where Sean plants a large amount of explosives and he and Juan sit on a nearby hillside with machine guns. They hope to shoot as many soldiers as possible and drive the others to the cover of the bridge and then blow up the bridge. Their plan works, but Juan pays a huge price when his family and a large number of peasants are captured, taken to a cave, and massacred. Juan leaves with a machine gun to face the army on his own, but is captured. Dr. Viega is also captured and turns traitor, naming the leaders of the band who are executed in a nearby town in the rain as Sean witnesses the happening and sees Viega. This causes Sean to have a flashback and his betrayal by Nolan, his best friend, played by David Warbeck. Back in Ireland, this takes place. Sean saves Juan from a firing squad with a dynamite explosion, and they ride away on his motorcycle. After escaping on Sean's motorcycle, Sean and Juan hide in the boxcar of a train headed for the United States. It stops to pick up the tyrannical governor, Don Jaime, played by Franco Graziosi, who is fleeing with a small fortune from revolutionary forces. As the train is ambushed by revolutionaries, Sean lets Juan choose between shooting Jaime or accepting a bribe from him. Juan kills Jaime, also stealing the governor's fortune. As the doors to the boxcar open, Juan is greeted by a crowd and once again is hailed as a hero of the revolutionary. The money is taken away by the revolutionaries. Other revolutionaries are captured, put into pits, and executed. Viega escapes and joins the revolutionaries. General Santerna hears that a trainload of soldiers under the command of Colonel Gutierrez/Riza is headed their way, but the soldiers of Pancho Villa and his army will not arrive for another day. Sean volunteers himself and Dr. Viega to drive another train loaded with explosives into the military train head on. Sean jumps from the train, but Villegas' conscience gets the better of him and sacrifices himself for his being a traitor and dies in the explosion and wreck. Now Juan and his army attack the remaining soldiers, but Sean is mortally wounded by Gutierrez/Riza, who Juan shoots with his machine gun. Sean blows himself up as he dreams of the girl he left behind. Juan's final words are, "What about me?" because he's now left alone. Talking points. When I first saw this film in the theater, I disliked it immensely. I thought Steigers was not the right for the part, and his fake Mexican accent was really annoying. Coburn was Coburn and Mr. Cool and saved the film for me. There was plenty of the Leone twists and clever gimmicks, but the pacing was as slow as Once Upon a Time in the West, but I just didn't care for the film. Over the years, I've come to enjoy and even love the film. First of all, you must see the complete version with all the flashbacks to truly understand Leone's story. Get over Steiger's accent and enjoy his acting in the character of Juan Miranda and the tragedies that befall both characters throughout the film. Morricone's score is once again excellent, and Leone and Ennio have mixed music and film together perfectly once again. Morricone's tracks for Juan and Sean in different tempos fit perfectly with the flashbacks for Coburn and the heartbreak of Steiger. Like My Name is Nobody, this was Leone's answers to the spaghetti comedy westerns. Duck You Sucker was Leone's answer to the Mexican revolutionary films that were being made at the time. Peter Bogdanovich was originally hired to direct, but was replaced by Giancarlo Santi, one of Leone's assistant directors. After 10 days, Steiger demanded Leone direct the film, and Santi directed only the second unit scenes. Original casting was to be for Sean, Jason Robards, Clint Eastwood, and George Lazenby, and then Malcolm McDowell. Juan was to be played by Eli Wallach. Good choice, but I think Eli would have stolen the film and made it a completely different film altogether. Juan's opening and closing of his hands and scenes is an homage or satire of Leone, who everyone who worked with him said he did all the time. The loss of Coburn's love and the killing of his best friend are lost upon the viewer unless you see the long version. Steiger's Juan Miranda and the loss of his entire family at the hands of the evil Mexican Colonel Gutierrez is one of Leone's most touching film scenes. Although you may think this is a buddy movie, each character has his own plans and destinations and use each other to try and obtain them. Both hit dead ends on the aspirations, but when they decide to work together, they accomplish a goal, each with a different view, one of revenge and for the murder of his family, one for the fulfillment of his lost dream back in Ireland. My favorite line is when Sean and Juan are in the boxcar waiting for the train to start and take them to the USA. Sitting under a bird cage, one of the birds drops a complete load of crap on Juan's head. He looks him up and says, "But for the rich you sing." Even Sean has to laugh at that. I'm going to go over a couple of locations because, as we know, Leone used the same locations over and over again in his films. The church that Coburn blows up is the same exterior building El Indio preaches his sermon about the carpenter to his gang. A tower was added to which is what Sean blows up. The bridge Coburn and Steiger blow up and the machine gun nests are located in the hills behind Oasis Zoo and Mini Hollywood behind the back parking lot. Leone used this road that goes up there in multiple scenes in many of his films. The train station of Mesa Verde is the actual train station in Gaudix. Mesa Verde for many years was a lost location, and even the experts like Yoshi Yasuda could not locate what was used for the Bank of Mesa Verde. My friends Don Bruce and Marla Johnson discovered the exact location and why it was so hard to find. The town used is Medinaceli, Soria, Castilla y León, Spain. It sits on a hill, and the front of the bank was a false front covering several buildings in the square. Also, the cafe where Coburn blows up the front doors of the bank was also a fake set. Once these false buildings were removed, you would never be able to tell it was the site of Mesa Verde. When I was there in 2003, the square was closed as they were filming a Pepsi commercial with soccer star David Beckham, which you can see on YouTube. Around 6 p.m., the filming was over for the day, and we were able to make our way around the square and explore the place where the bank front and cafe were located. The location of the mass slaughter of the rebels takes place in an abandoned sugar beet factory, and these were the vats where beets were processed before being taken into the plant for canning. It's just outside of Guadix, and the vats have now been filled and cemented over. The cave where Juan and Sean find Juan's family and the other peasants murdered was a cave in Rome, Italy. The flashback filmed in Dublin, Ireland was at Toner's Pub, which looks the same today. The scenes with Vivian Chandler were filmed in Howth Castle in Howth, Fingal, Dublin, Ireland. Okay, let's get into the actor profiles. First, we'll talk about Juan Miranda, played by Rod Steiger. Rodney Stephen Steiger was born in West Hampton, New York on April 14, 1925. He was a stage, film, TV actor, and singer. Rod was a method actor who enhanced his performances by his powerful delivery and intensity to inhabit a wide variety of complex characters during a half-century long career as a performer. He was nominated for Academy Award 3 times and won it once for Best Actor for his role as a racist Southern sheriff in The Heat of the Night in 1967. Steiger dropped out of high school at age 16, lied about his age so he could join the Navy, and spent most of World War II as a torpedo man on a destroyer in the Pacific. Following his discharge, he took a civil service job in Newark, New Jersey, and joined a theater group. Encouraged to pursue acting seriously, Steiger studied acting at a succession of schools in New York City. His stage debut came in 1947, and most of his TV work was in live dramas between 1948 and 1953. An episode of the Goodyear television Playhouse jump-started his career in an episode of The Story of Marty, which our friend, who am I thinking of? The guy that played, oh my God, I can see him. Who played Marty? Anyways, uh, he went on to appear in over 150 films and TV appearances. Steiger was married 5 times and had 2 children. He died from complications after surgery for a gallbladder tumor on July 9, 2002 in Los Angeles. He was 77. This was his only spaghetti western. Okay, Sean or John H. Mallory was played by James Coburn. James Harrison Coburn III was born in Laurel, Nebraska on August 31st, 1928. He was a producer, director, writer, film, TV, and voice actor. In 1950, Coburn was drafted into the U.S. Army, where he served as a truck driver and occasionally a disc jockey on an Army radio station in Texas. He also narrated Army training films in Mainz, West Germany. After his Army service, he attended Los Angeles City College, where he studied acting with fellow future actor Jeff Corey, and later made a stage debut at the La Jolla Playhouse in Herman Melville's Billy Budd. He made his first TV appearance in 1953 on Four Star Playhouse. Coburn, much like Lee Van Cleef, Lee Marvin, and Jack Elam and others, was a TV mainstay as a character actor for over a decade. His big break came with appearances in 1960's The Magnificent Seven, then 1962's Hell is for Heroes, and 63's The Great Escape, all with Steve McQueen. He reached stardom in 1966 as our man Flint. Later, he all but disappeared from view as he suffered from severe rheumatoid arthritis. The disease had left Coburn's body deformed and in pain. Then in 1996, Coburn tried methyl sulfonyl methane, MSM, a sulfur compound available at most health food stores. The result, he said, was nothing but short of miraculous. You take this stuff and it starts right away, said Coburn. Though the MSM did not cure Coburn's arthritis, it did relieve his pain, allowing him to move more freely and resume his career. In spite of his severe rheumatoid arthritis, Coburn was a martial arts student and a friend of fellow actor Bruce Lee. Coburn was married twice and was the father of 2 children, stunt woman Lisa Coburn, born in 57, and actor James H. Coburn IV, born in 61. He died of a heart attack in his home in Beverly Hills, California on November 18, 2002 at the age of 74. Coburn also appeared in one other spaghetti western, Massacre at Fort Holman, as Colonel Pembroke in 1972. Okay, in our series of Who Are Those Guys, we'll start with David Warbeck. Okay, David Warbeck was born David Mitchell on November 17, 1941 in Christchurch, New Zealand. He was of Scottish descent. David attended school in Christchurch in Invercargill. After graduating, Warbeck began training to become an arts teacher. Through this, he became involved with local theater productions and performed with a small New Zealand touring company. While performing in local theater, Warbeck was awarded a scholarship from the New Zealand Arts Council to attend the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London. Warbeck arrived in Britain in 1965 and attended the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art for 4 terms before dropping out and becoming a photographic model. He made his film debut as the title character in Wolf's Head, The Legend of Robin Hood, in 1969. It's a low budget film adaptation of The Adventures of Robin Hood, directed by John Howe. He then appeared in an episode of UFO called Destruction in 1970. Warbeck next landed a small but important role in Sergio Leone's A Fistful of Dynamite. This would be his first foray into Italian cinema, which he would make his home within a few years. Reuniting with director Howe, David appeared in the vampire film Twins of Evil in 1971, followed by a minor role in Freddie Francis's exploitation film Craze. Warbeck was then cast in American filmmaker Russ Meyer's cult film Black Snake in 1973. He also had the title role in a British sex comedy, The Sex Thief, in 1973, which was directed by young Martin Campbell. Warbeck is perhaps best known for his violent horror film roles in the 1980s. One of those most noted of these was Lucio Fulci's The Beyond in 1981. The same year, he was cast in a supporting role as a police inspector in Fulci's The Black Cat in 1981, based on the story of Edgar Allan Poe. Most of Warbeck's work during the 1980s was with director Antonio Margheriti. The exploitation film director produced a series of films which played on the success of mainstream releases such as Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Deer Hunter. Margheriti was best known for his action films, and some of the noted efforts featuring Warbeck were the Vietnam War film The Last Hunter in 1980, Hunters of the Golden Cobra in 82, and The Ark of the Sun God in 1983. Thanks to his appearances there in these high-profile action and horror films, Warbeck was being seriously considered as the third James Bond, but the role was taken by Roger Moore. Warbeck claimed that for many years he was paid an amount to be a substitute or backup Bond on the condition that he not tell anyone and that he be ready for filming at a moment's notice in the case Moore leaving or threatening to leave the role. One day, Warbeck read that Timothy Dalton had been chosen to be Bond, and when he inquired about his so-called agreement, he was told by the production producers that he was now too old for the role. Apart from a brief role as an ill-fated agent in the Tom Selleck film Lassiter in 1984, Warbeck's later career consisted of several low-budget films, including Ratman in 88, Mean Tricks in 92, directed by Umberto Lenzi, Paravella in 1997, Sudden Fury in 1997, and the vampire film Razor Blade Smile in 1998. He also concentrated on fan conventions in the UK and US, where he was popular due to his work with Fulci. Warbeck spent his later life living in Hampstead, London, England, with his wife Lois Shepherd, whom he married in 1965. The couple had one daughter. He spent 2 decades restoring his residence there, which had been built by Sir George Gilbert Scott. In 1997, 3 weeks before his death, Warbeck recorded an audio commentary for the Laserdisc release of The Beyond with actress Catriona MacColl. At age 55, Warbeck died of gastric lymphoma in London, England on July 23, 1997. Warbeck appeared in 2 other spaghetti westerns, Cipolla Colt, also known as Spaghetti Western, in 1974, starring Franco Nero in the role of the villain in the sunglasses, and in 1990 played an FBI agent in the modern-day Arizona Road, starring Antonio Sabata Jr. Okay, next we'll move on to Who Are Those Guys in Romulo Valley. Okay, Romulo Valley was born in Reggio Emilia, Emilia-Romagna, Italy on February 7, 1925. He graduated with a law degree in Parma, Italy in 1949. More to please his father than out of the desire to be a lawyer. At a young age, he revealed a love for everything that was entertainment. review performances, stage readings, theater and film criticism, organization of cinema circles, and direction of plays. Soon after graduation, the theater became his main occupation. Valli was one of the best known Italian actors beginning in 1954. He went on to appear in some 50 films until 1979. He worked both on stage and in films. Among the directors he collaborated with were Vittorio De Sica, Sergio Leone, Roman Polanski, Roger Vadim, and in 3 films with Luchino Visconti. Visconti cast him in his breakthrough role as the largely virtuous but thoroughly conflicted Father Perroni in the tumultuous period epic The Leopard in 1963. He would also appear in Roger Vadim's Barbarella in '68 and in Vittorio De Sica's 1970 film The Garden of the Finzi Cantinis. His Visconti's luminous tale of artistic self-consumption, Death in Venice in 1970. Valli was also well known as a theater manager and founded the Compagnie di Giovanni with his life partner Giorgio De Lullo from 54 to 72. Valli was awarded the Nastro d'Argento for Best Supporting Actor 3 times. He was also a voice, radio, and television actor. Valli's career and life was cut short when he died in a car accident on the Via Appia Antica in Rome less than 1 week before his 55th birthday on February 1st, 1980. A theater in his hometown is named after him. This was Valli's only spaghetti western. Next, we'll talk about Who Are Those Gals and Vivian Chandler. And Marty was Ernest Borgnine. See what happens when you get old? Okay, Vivian Chandler. Vivian Morgan Chandler was born in Newport, Shropshire, England on November 6, 1947. Vivian attended high school at St. Helens and St. Catherine's in Abingdon, Oxfordshire, England. She started her acting career in the theater as an assistant stage manager with small parts. Acting ASMs, they were called. She appeared in various things from Shakespeare to farces in theaters at the end of Piers. In those days, it was a good way to cut your teeth in the acting world. Then she found an agent who got her more work and larger parts. She made her first appearance on TV in ITV Playhouse in 1970, but immediately began acting in minor parts in a number of major early 1970s films, including Lust for a Vampire, Duck You Sucker, and Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange. She appeared in several small roles in the 1980s, including portraying Chantal, the mother, in the music video for the 1983 song The Smile Has Left Your Eyes by the rock band Asia. She was cast as an X-Wing pilot in Return of the Jedi, but did not appear in the final film. During her career, she has also been an extra in many films, including Dracula's Daughters in 1971 and Victor Victoria in 1982. She attended the University of Paris Diderot between her film and television roles, but all the time was interested in photography. After retiring from acting, she became a professional photographer and reinvented her name for a while as Holly Bush and later Holly Bund as her career changed direction. Photographing mainly children, she had exhibits in London, Oxford, and Kent, and sold to private collectors in France, England, and Japan. She was a fellow of the Royal Photographic Society. Vivian is best remembered by Euro Western fans as Colleen, the girl seen in the flashbacks in Duck You Sucker, and the romantic link that comes between James Coburn and David Warbeck. After marrying a man named Roger Ninat, N-I-N-A-T, in 1972, she was the mother of musician Matthew Matt Ninat, born in 1973, and Guillaume Roger Morgan Ninat. Excuse me. Ninat and Chandler divorced, and she then married John J. Carter Bush, the brother of singer Kate Bush and actor Patty Bush. She had two sons and a daughter named Una Bush, who is an actress and photographer like her mother. When my friends Don Bruce and Marla Johnson were doing research on the Leone locations, Don went on London radio and asked if anyone knew where the location scenes in Ireland were shot for Duck You Sucker. Vivian, who had been listening, called the station and talked to Don and took him and Marla to the location of the motor car scene and then flashback scenes at the tree where the tree were filmed. She went out of her way to help in their work. Vivian died after 4 years of battling cancer on June 6, 2013 in Esperanza, Aude, France. She was only 66. Okay, now let's talk about the CDs and LP of the week, which are Duck You Sucker. Okay, this is one of the most recorded of Morricone's scores. So I'm not going to show every single one. I'll talk about them, but I'm not going to show all the different covers. A lot of them are the same. To make things a little bit shorter, all the LPs had the same amount of recording time, between 44 and 45 minutes. The first LP was released in 1972 in France. It's on RCA Victor number 443039, 11 tracks. All the LPs have the same amount of tracks. Then there was a German release on Telefunken SLE 14654-P, a United States release on United Artists on UAS 5221. That's the LP from the United States, cover and rear. And then we have a 1974 release in Italy on Cinevox MDF 33-50. Another one on Cinevox was CIA 5003. And then again in 1982, we have one in France on Cinemusic on NL 70223. And again in France on Polydor number 817429-11. In 2015, we have one released in Italy on AMS LP 96, and in 2021 in Italy on Cinevex LPOST 021. Like I said, they all have 11 tracks of music. In 1987, they released a CD in Italy on Cinevex CIA 5003, again 11 tracks. In 93 in Germany, in Alhambra A8917, 11 tracks. Finally, in 2003, we have CDs started to come out, and on the one in Italy was on Cinevex CDMDF 312 with 12 tracks and 50 minutes of listening time. Then we have the one that you really want to pick up, which is Cinevox in 2006. It's on Cinevox CDMDF 612. This one has it's 2 CDs, and this thing has over an hour of music, an hour, 42 minutes, and 39 seconds. We also have another one that came out in Italy on Cinevox CDMDF 312, only 12 tracks, and one that came out, like I said, in Germany in Alhambra A8917. The last one that came out was in 2011. It's on Cinevax OST 708, and then again has, like that one I showed you, 26 tracks of music and listening time of 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 39 seconds. Unbelievably, we've never really covered Ennio Morricone, so we'll cover him briefly now. Ennio Morricone was also known as Dan Savio and Leo Nichols. He was a composer, conductor, orchestrator, arranger, songwriter, musician. He played the trumpet. and he was the son of a musician who played the trumpet. He was born in Rome on November 10th, 1928, son of trumpeter Mario Morricone, who was born in 1903 and died in 1974. Ennio was married to Maria Travia from 1956 to 2020. And he's the father of composer Andrea Morricone, born in 64, producer, director, assistant director, writer, and actor Giovanni Morricone, born in 66. His other children are Marco, born in 57, and a daughter, Alessandra, born in 61. He composed over 535 scores during his career from 1960 to 2024, and even after his death, uh, on July 6, 2020. His music is still being used in film scores even to this year alone. He scored 35 spaghetti western soundtracks and is considered the maestro and creator of the spaghetti western musical score. Screwed by the Academy Award several times after receiving 5 nominations, including for The Mission, Once Upon a Time in America, and Cinema Paradiso, he had to settle for an honorary Oscar and finally an Academy Award for a lesser score that had been rejected for another film that Quentin Tarantino used in Eightful Eight in 2015. He received 9 Emmy nominations. Morricone received numerous honors over the years and was held in prestige and honor by his fellow composers from all over the world. Okay, let's do Tom's Poster Attic. Okay, first of all, I have a German ad mat or press kit. Very simple. That back a little bit for you. And these again are just ads for the newspapers that show posters, pictures, and they over a brief story outline so they can advertise the film. Okay, I've also got the Belgian poster. And that is it for the poster attic. How about book of the week? Okay, I just found out about this like a month ago, and it's still available. You can order it from the Italian Amazon for $10.33. But it's a film souvenir program from the Gulf of Naples Film Festival in 2023. It's by Vittorio Adinolfi and Umberto Santacroce. It only has 65 pages. It's in Italian, but it's full of posters. And I know we've gone over several books of posters and ad mats before, but they've been expensive. Usually they're from Japan or Germany, but this is reasonably priced, and you can still get it today. So if you're into collecting posters and stuff from the spaghetti westerns, you still have a source that you can get readily available, pretty reasonably priced. Okay, how about autograph of the week? Okay, autograph of the week. James Coburn. I didn't have a picture of James Coburn at that time because I didn't really care for that movie. So when I was able to get his autograph, I did have a drawing that I had available. So he signed that. I'm sure if you just saw that online, you wouldn't know who the heck it was, but it's James Coburn. Okay, now let's wrap things up with the news of the week. Okay, news of the week. First of all, we have a new Spanish book release of La Trilogia del Dólar, which is the Dollar Trilogy by authors Quim Casas and Jaime Ochoa and Luis Frejo. It's published by Notorious Ediciones and contains 192 pages in Spanish. It was released on October 7th, and it's on the 60th anniversary of Sergio Leone's famous Dollar Trilogy. The book is exhaustively analyzes the films that make it up. Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I've got one on order, but I haven't received it yet. It's in the mail. And we have a new German Blu-ray release of Schnell Coats für Jenny Lee, which is The Gunman of the Rio Grande. Which came out in '65. It was directed by Tullio Demicelli and stars Guy Madison, Fernando Sancho, Madeleine LeBeau, and Gerard Tichy and Carolyn Davies. This was released on October 4th on TG Vision label. It's in Dolby Digital 2.0 mono in English and German with English subtitles. The English subtitles are only for the missing parts of the English audio. It has a running time of 85 minutes. Extras include an 8-page leaflet with pictures and a text by Martin Henschel, a photo gallery, a German theatrical trailer, and the U.S. theatrical trailer. Then we have a new German 3-film bundle release, Der Tiger von Quai, Killer Adios, Mein Körper für ein Pokerspiel. Those are The Tiger from the River Kwai, Killer Adios, and The Belle Star Story. This was released on October 4th on the Tonpool label. They were released on these are released on both Blu-ray and DVD, and each bundle contains 3 discs. A second bundle was released of Kopfgeld für einen Killer, 10,000 blutige Dollar, and Ein Halleluja für Camposanto, which is a bounty killer fraternity, $10,000 blood money, and they call him Cemetery. This was released on October 11th. Same thing, Tonpool label. They're both DVD and Blu-ray, and they contain 3 discs. Again, they're in German. That is all we have on releases for DVDs and books, CDs. Then we have Blue Hill, and like I said, since we've been off 2 weeks, we've got a couple. Release, rest in peace, Klaus Manchen. He was a German theater, film, TV, and voice actor. He died on September 20th in Dallwitz-Hoppergarten, Brandenburg, Germany. He was 87. He was born in Breslau, Silesia, Germany on December 1st, 1936, and he grew up in Berlin after the war, where Manchen trained as an actor at the State Drama School in Berlin. Klaus appeared in 2 Euro westerns, Der Lang Rut der Schule, which is The Long Ride from School in 1981 as Jack Bull, and Der Scout, which is The Scout in 1982 as Sergeant Anderson. He was also a German voice of Big Bear in the 1985/1989 animated film Die Spur zum Silbersee, which is The Trail to Silver Lake. Then we have Chris Christopherson. And you go, Chris Christopherson was in Euro Westerns. Christopherson, who attained success as both a groundbreaking country music singer, songwriter, and a Hollywood film and TV star, died on September 28th at his home in Maui, Hawaii. He was born Christopher Christian Christopherson in Brownsville, Texas on June 22nd, 1936. Christopherson was a Renaissance man. He was an athlete with a poet's sensibilities, a former Army officer and helicopter pilot, a Rhodes Scholar who took a job as a janitor in what turned out to be a brilliant career move. Chris first established himself in the music world as a songwriter in the country music capital of Nashville, writing hits such as the Grammy-winning Help Me Make It Through the Night, For the Good Times, and one-time girlfriend Janis Joplin's plaintive #1 hit, Me and Bobby McGee. Early in the 1970s, he became well known as a performer with rumbling, unpolished baritone, as well as in-demand actor, notably opposite Barbra Streisand in A Star is Born. In 1976, Christopherson, rugged good looks led to roles in movies such as Cisco Pike, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, The Sailor Who Fell from Grace from the Sea, Convoy, Heaven's Gate, Lone Star, and Blade. Christopherson appeared in one spaghetti western as Jesse Ray Torrance in the 1999 made-for-TV film Outlaw Justice, written by Gene Quintano and co-starring Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, and Sancho Gracia, which was filmed in Almeria, Spain. Chris also appeared in two Euro Western films as himself in Go West Young Man in 2003 and as the narrator in Requiem for Billy the Kid in 2006. Okay, also passing away was Robert Waits. Robert Waits was a British producer and production manager who collaborated with George Lucas on the first three Star Wars films and the first three Indiana Jones movies. He died on September 30th at his home in East Sussex, England. He was 86. Born Robert Mead Watts on May 23rd, 1938 in East Sussex, England. What did I say? That's when he died. I'm sorry. He was born Robert Mead Watts on May 23rd, 1938 in London. Watts also worked alongside Indiana Jones director Steven Spielberg on the Spielberg-produced Who Framed Roger Rabbit in 1988 and An American Tail, Fievel Goes West in 91. Robert was a production manager in the 1970 spaghetti western El Condor. Then we have Ken Tobias. The Canadian singer, songwriter, and musician died in St. John, New Brunswick, Canada on October 2nd. He was 79. Tobias was born on July 25th, 1945 in St. John. He formed a folk bluegrass group, the Ramblers, with his brother Tony. Later, he moved to Halifax to perform on Frank's Bandstand and was also a part of a rock and roll group, the Bad Seeds, Baddceds. He joined Sing Along Jubilee from 65 to 67 as a guitarist, solo, then chorus performer. Ken then moved to Montreal and to Los Angeles, where he recorded his first hit, You're Not Even Going to the Fair, with Bill Medley of the Righteous Brothers. He recorded 2 albums, and his best-known hit was The Bells' Stay a While. He moved to Toronto in 1972, where he continued to perform and record albums, write music for films, television, commercials, and a ballet. In the mid-1980s, Ken became a renowned painter. Ken sang the main theme for the 1977 spaghetti western Silver Saddle, starring Juliana Gemma, and a second song heard in the film Two Hearts. And last but not least, we have Elisa Montez. Spanish actress Elisa Montez died in Madrid, Spain on October 9th. She was born Elisa Ruiz Pinella on December 15th, 1934 in Granada. Elisa not only shown for her own performances, but was part of a family saga with deep artistic roots. She was the daughter of the composer Manuel Pinella and sister of renowned actresses Emma Pinella, born in 1930, who died in 2007, Terela Pavez, born in 1939 and died in 2017. However, it was her marriage to fellow actor Antonio Ozores that further accentuated her connection to the world of cinema. Together they worked in several films and had a daughter, Emma Ozores, who followed in her parents' footsteps in acting. She debuted on the big screen in the 1950s. Throughout her career, she worked in notable films. With the passage of time, she became a leading figure in Spanish art scene, also participating in theater and television. During the 1960s and 1970s, despite having largely retired from public life, Montez made a special appearance in 2017 when she was awarded the prize of the Association of Audiovisual Festivals of Andalusia, ASFAAN, at the Almeria Western Film Festival. Elisa appeared in 7 spaghetti westerns. In The Outlaw of Red River in 1965 as Francisca Rayano, Texas Adios, she was the mulatto girl, Mutiny at Fort Sharp and Brenda, Return of the Seven as Petra, and $7 to Kill as Sybil, all in 1966. In 68, she was in Taste of Vengeance as Julie Blake and as Rosita in Captain Apache in 1970. So that will wrap it up for season 8. We're going to take a couple of weeks off so I can assemble season 9. So until then, this has been a Roberto Genesi production. And until then, adios amigos. We'll see you down the trail.